Good morning, guys. I hope you're all well. It's Kevin out here in the woods on this glorious morning to do some actual cordwood work. I'm going to take down this red oak right behind me with this classic double bit swamper pattern that I just rehung on this 29-inch Killinger handle. It feels fantastic in the hands and I am eager to use it. So let's take a closer look at this tree and see the problems we're up against. All right, so how do I know this is a red oak? Well, a few distinguishing characteristics sets these trees apart from the other trees in the forest and even the other oaks. It has the classic white ski slope bark, especially if you look higher up. If you can see the leaves, the lobes are not rounded, they're pointed with the little hairs that come out on the end. Red oaks have alternating branches at the very tips here. They have this whorl-like structure and fat, broad leaves. And if you look down here on the ground, you can actually see some oak-loving colobia mushrooms growing. Those all tell me that this is a red oak. Red oak is one of two major categories in the larger oak family. There are thousands of species. I won't be able to tell exactly which one this is until I get it down and can take a closer look at the leaves, and I'll show you that as well. So you might also take the time to look around the base of the tree at the leaf litter if you can't see the leaves high up in the tree. But of course you need to be cautious of that because the leaves fall further afield than their canopy. And this time of year you might also take a look at any nuts that they're dropping. But here is point in case. This, of course, as you well know, is not an acorn, which is what oaks drop. This is a hickory nut, and there's plenty of them right around the base of this tree, and that's because right back there is a shagbark hickory. This is a red oak, and red oaks don't drop acorns every year. They drop them every other year, and I don't see any acorns around the base of this tree, which tells me it'll be dropping its nuts next year, not this year. It's worth saying that red oak is pretty dang hard even on the Janka scale, and as far as my wood lot, it's one of the tougher things I'll be chopping. That's why I'm going to use this bad boy today. I got both of these edges set at around a 17 degrees convex with no secondary bevel. Stone ground and hand honed here in the forest. Let's take a look at the top and see which way the lean is and the problems with the lay. So let me show you what I'm dealing with here. This tree has grown tall and spindly, and it has a heavy hook at the top in the direction that I'm gonna make the lay, but I'm a little worried about hang-ups. I think it will just miss this branch right here coming off of this old cherry, but it really wants to go right down in between these two trees. And I'm worried that the top might catch up here. I don't think so. I think it'll have enough speed at that point. Even if it does hit some of those branches, they'll either come right down in here, or ideally, I'd like to force it over here. But we'll see how it goes as it goes. Now, I tend to favor higher undercuts. Not only does that create a bit of a waste of wood, but it is arguably a little unsafer because if I miss and glance, there's a better chance it's going to hit my foot. Whereas if I was cutting the undercut way down here, the glance is going to go into the ground. I may do a video another time on why I prefer higher undercuts, but suffice it to say, it's because it's easier to make your undercut flat rather than angled. And when you make an undercut on an angle, that creates major issues with your hinge that I'll talk about in detail at some other time. Right now, let's go ahead and get an undercut in this bad boy and see if we can get her where we want her on the ground. All right, let's see if we can't get this bad boy down. So I cheated the undercut slightly this way from the lean so that I could hopefully drag the lay in this direction and miss the field goal of those two trees, pull it to the left. We'll see how that actually plays out in reality. I'm about halfway through, so I'm gonna have a little bit of chopping in the back here. Maybe not as much as I think. I hear it going. Well, that didn't take much. There was a lot more stress on that tree because of that lean than I imagined. It went to the left of the field goal, so no harm, no foul, or no foul, no harm, but way more hinge wood than I had anticipated, which could have caused a barber chair. I'll bring you in and show you. So as I said, way more hinge wood than I had accounted for. You can see I started my back cut up here because I tended to undercut it and come in straight here, but there was so much stress on that tree that it pulled all that hinge. I did try relieving some of that stress with a back cut as it was going down, but it wasn't needed. So they don't always go according to plan, but the tree did fall where I wanted, so no foul, no harm. Yeah, you can see here these fine points, these little hairs that I'm talking about. That's what tells you instantly this is a red oak, and the white oaks are rounded on the end. And by counting the lobes there, this is just the standard northern red oak, which makes sense because I have a lot of these here in this stand. Northern red oak, we don't have too many branches to take care of, but let's go ahead and limb it and do a little bucking. So the reason I took the time to explain how I identified this particular tree is not merely to help you identify red oaks when you're in the forest, but to suggest that you shouldn't be cutting down trees if you don't know what they are. You shouldn't be going out there to do the cordwood challenge and just whacking down any trees. You may be cutting down trees that are worth something to you in terms of lumber. You may be cutting down rare trees in your woodlot that you don't want to cut down. I chose this one not because it was a red oak and it is good firewood, but because it's kind of sickly. It was competing with older trees that had a much wider canopy, and it only has some healthy growth right here on the top. These tend to get sick at the base and rot. This one is still alive and healthy, but better to call this one than a much more mature tree that's going to do better in the long run. All right, how are we going to take this mast stuff off? Can I just say how much more I'm enjoying this axe now that it's on a 29-inch handle? This slim line handle from Killinger is just But this is a 3.5 pound swamper pattern, and it doesn't feel like 3.5 pounds. And my favorite thing to do is limb. And while this doesn't have many limbs, I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of knocking these off. One. Where else can we take it? How about a little left-handed action? Two. Take it right there, I guess. 3 bites to the center of a Tootsie Pop. She goes. Bump. decent chips there. Timber. I got to get back in bucking shape, guys, but I'm loving that axe. It went from wanting to sell it and get rid of it to being one of my most prized possessions. I just cut off the old 34-inch handle, popped it on a 29-inch Killinger stick, rammed, smashed a purple heart wedge down in it. Nice thin purple heart wedge, went all the way in, bottomed out in the kerf. The hang feels great, and that nice slim taper of Killinger handle has a nice whippy feel to it. It's fantastic. I love it. I'm not selling it, so don't ask. All right, I'm gonna go buck some of that up. I'll bring you guys along. Sorry, guys. All right, guys, I'm gonna bust these two rounds apart and split these guys up. Unfortunately, I can't do that much more today. I have some errands and some estimates I need to do, but also I gotta take it easy coming back into the cordwood game because of my arms. They get re-injured really easily. Not nearly as bad as they were, but I can feel them starting to burn and I know it's time to stop. I remember this axe being really sticky and not chipping very nice. Well, you can see here, the chips are nice and it's no stickier than any other axe I have. On this handle, thanks Killer, this is one of my favorite axes by far. By far, the 3.5 pounds feels about like 3 at most. And it's done everything I've asked it to. I expect this to be just an excellent feller on trees this size, about 10 inches or better, and it really chipped nicely. It bucked nicely, limbed nicely. Let's see if it splits. See how hard this guy is to get apart. Okay, that's that. Oh, she popped. I heard it. Oh, I missed. Missed a good bit, but it's starting to chip off that side. Let's try that side piece. Side slab. Oh, it went through a knot too. Now, how about like that? How do you like them apples? One more time on that guy. Right down the center. See if we can pop her first swing. I doubt it. Oh my, she's a laser beam. She's a laser beam. Right down the center. Pop, pop, pop. So listen to this and make of it what you will. I'm still picking away at the prince when I'm out here in the woods. I got 2 chapters left. A new prince has never been known to disarm his subjects. On the contrary, when he has found them disarmed, he has always armed them. For by arming them, these arms become your own. Those that you suspected become faithful, and those that were faithful remain so. And from being merely subjects, become your partisans. And since all the subjects cannot be armed, when you give the privilege of arms to some, you can deal more safely with the others. I'm not about to take up the Second Amendment rights with all of you guys, but I am curious what you think about Machiavelli's summary of what the kings of the past have done in order to control the citizens, and how that might be applicable to the present. In the doobly-doo below. Be nice, guys. Garlic. Wish I had some onion, but I don't. See if I can get you guys a peek there. That's about the best I'm gonna do. Oh my.